I'm Ben Salisbury.
And I'm Geoff Barrow, and we're the composers of the music for Ex Machina, Alex Garland's new film.
Tell me a little bit about how the two of you got together and started working on this film. What are the origins?
I'll start if you want.
Okay.
We play for an old man's football team, soccer team, in Bristol. We have done for kind of 20 years or so, I think. Well, not maybe 18, 15 years, yeah. And we're called Bayern Munich, after the great German team, but obviously we're Brian instead of Bayern. And we didn't, when we first started playing together, we didn't know that we did music. And eventually we kind of started chatting in the bar afterwards, and that's how it got going. And projects have kind of come and we've said, we've got to work together, and eventually projects started coming that we decided to work on. And this is our kind of second or third project we've worked together.
Yeah, I mean, Drock was an album that came before this film, which originally was music that was in Alex's previous film, which was Dread, which didn't last the course, but we came out of the film with that music and a very good working relationship with Alex. And so he said, the next thing I get off the ground, would you two be interested? And we were like, yeah, of course. And then Geoff met Alex in an airport in Norway.
Yeah, I bumped into Alex in Norway. I was touring with Portishead, and he was doing location scouting, and recognised some of the guys he was with, and we were sat in opposite tables in the cafe in the airport, and that's how we kind of got back on it, really.
And how did the process then start from there? Was it the sort of thing where you kind of got concepts and you started working on music together, or did you have to wait until you saw some actual content from the film?
Well, we got the script, so we basically were sort of in on the film before it was even shot. And so we got the script, and if you've got if you work in music for film, as soon as you read a script, your brain starts ticking over. So we did have sort of ideas ticking over, and then as soon as they got in the cutting room, I suppose a week into putting the first rough cut together, Alex got us in the edit suite, and we dived in basically. There was a very, very specific thing that Alex wanted us to sort of start with, because he knew it would be absolutely crucial, and that was sort of Ava's theme, the very sort of childlike, innocent thing. He knew that
it's a lullaby that runs.
Yeah, he knew it was crucial that the audience fell for Ava in the same way that Caleb does, and that it had to have the musical element had to have absolutely no edge to it. It just needed to be this almost confrontationally beautiful, simple, naive, innocent thing. And that was the first thing we did, which gave us a sort of foothold in the film. And then we always knew that there was this sort of horror and tension element that was going to come in as well, and so that was going along in the background as well. And yes, we worked on the film for a very long time, which is unusual, but very satisfying.
Yeah, it was kind of a process that it was about pacing. When to give certain information away through the music. Obviously there's things going on, in the script that is doing just the same thing, but you can have a conversation between kind of like Caleb and Ava, or Oscar and Caleb, or Nathan as he is there. And you only have to make it, slightly a minor chord or put some kind of noise in it, and all of a sudden there's some kind of sense of something's not quite right there. There's, as a film, actually there is an awful lot of music in it. There's a hell of a lot of underscore, which we were really nervous about because it seems like there's tons. So we had to work really hard for it not to be intrusive and not to give too much away, and
to do the things at the right moment, and that was something that Alex got very involved with, and so he didn't necessarily tell us what musical language to use, but he was very specific on what he needed the music to be doing in terms of its narrative or emotional or structural role.
Because it wasn't like just like scene to scene. Oh, that becomes more horror. It's an ongoing, massively twisted thing that keeps on changing. And because of that, it wasn't like you could just say, well, that scene stops and that's because. I mean, there's a couple like that, but genuinely the most of it was really subtle.